up and you see the green around us. I've even donning the hat today. It is time to talk Jets football. A winning team. This team is winning games, unlike my Giants. The Jets are winning. This is sickening to me, but nonetheless, I'm happy for all you Jet fans. So we talk Jets every week, and we do it with our guy. He's our Jets insider from the Jake Asman Show on ESPN New York. Today's broadcast brought to you, by the way, from our friends at Box Drop Syracuse. Let's bring him in. It's Jake Asman. What's up, Jake? How are you?
What's up, guys? I mean, I got to say, Paul, the beard, I think it looks better shorter. I think this is the good thing. I think it's a good look for you. Not that the previous longer version of your beard didn't look good, but I like the new look. I think the best thing to happen to you might have been you making a bet that you had no chance of actually winning in the first place.
That's true. So, very nice. It's a slimmer look. Unfortunately, this most recent Falcons game was not included in said bet, but perhaps now the Jets could go on a winning streak after that mini losing streak. As soon as I dared the football god, said, they've won 2 in a row. They can certainly win these. And they did. So now perhaps the opposite karma energy is happening here. We can only hope.
Well, one would think, Jake, that, some would say, hey, winning games at this point of a season is somewhat meaningless. And certainly as a Giant fan, I can understand people that say that. We've been seemingly saying that for several years as well. But the other side of it is that, Aaron Glenn comes from that Lions system. And what the Lions have done to turn around essentially that franchise started slowly. Dan Campbell didn't just come in and start biting off people's kneecaps and they became a 10-game, 10-win team. As a matter of fact, his first year, they struggled. And I think Aaron Glenn is trying to kind of pull some things out of that box of tools and employ them against the Jets. So give me your latest assessment of Aaron Glenn and how he is handling his first year as a head coach and trying to create a culture that is hopefully long-lasting, as the Lions seemingly have done in the last 5+ years.
I do believe Aaron Glenn is showing some real signs of improvement, which is encouraging because he's not going anywhere. And the second they made the deals on the day of the deadline, trading away Sauce and Quinnen, you knew they were not going to allow Glenn, who really is the final decision maker for the team, ahead of Darren Bougie, make those deals, and then you're going to fire the coach, right? So I think they deserve credit for how they played of late. I understand they're not beating the best teams in the league, right? But you got to win games. And they won 3 of 5. They won after their bye week. He held the team together after those trades. They came out and played the way they did against Cleveland without any real quarterback play, won an ugly game. Before that, after everything that happened with Woody Johnson, Justin Fields goes out there and actually played a great game that day, and they beat the Bengals. So there were some positive signs then. And look, they were in the game against New England. They were in the game against the Ravens. And I think if you wanted to say, hey, like the eye test is telling me they're showing signs of improvement, well, then you actually have to validate that by winning some games down the stretch. And that's why I think that Atlanta win is significant, because you did win a game, right? And now you can actually say you won 3 of 5 and you have a chance Sunday now against Miami. And the schedule down the stretch, how many more wins can you maybe build upon? So by winning, you have different conversations. And by winning, you also could acknowledge that there has been some real improvement. Now, the bar was really low. I mean, no Jet coach has ever started worse than 0-4. Aaron Glenn started 0-7. So he dug himself quite the hole. But I think even if you're the most negative Aaron Glenn, Jet fan out there, you have to acknowledge he has been a lot better, which is, again, to me, a positive sign because he's not going anywhere. So your only hope as a Jet fan is that he continues to improve and can, basically develop into being a really good coach for this team going forward.
And an interesting little, kind of sidebar on this whole thing is the Jets obviously were very active, maybe the most active team at the trade deadline. They acquired a bunch of assets for a couple of stars, but the defense has actually played better. And all those that complained about, hey, why didn't they jettison off Breece Hall because they're not going to have him under contract unless they can get him signed to an extension, that guy's become kind of the heartbeat of the offense since the trade deadline. So let's talk about those two things and how the Jets have weirdly become better despite losing some very, very prominent players. It's really fascinating to me.
Yeah, look, I mean, in the long term, do I think they're a better defense without those guys? No, but I do think that, the buy-in from the team collectively has been really impressive. The special teams has given them a boost all year. I think Glenn, with clock management and in-game adjustments and just things before the half, has been better. So like ultimately they have played better since those trades, and the coaching I think deserves some credit for that. Again, we're seeing, the receivers they got thrown into these deals and Mechie and Mitchell really play well and make a big impact there. So they've been able to kind of, replace, I don't want to say replace Sauce and Quinnen with those guys on the opposite side of the ball, but the overall talent of the team was not as ripped apart as some maybe felt, because you are getting an infusion to your offense with those two guys to replace the fact you lost 2 stars on defense.
Jake, tell me if there's anything here, or maybe I just made this up. I occasionally do that. The Jets and Aaron Glenn have their first chance at facing an opponent for a second time. You obviously get that advantage, or whatever you want to call it, in any division you're in, because you play your opponents twice. This is the first time the Jets are going to get an opponent for a second time. Do you think this could be a temperature check of AG as a coach? Because a real coach learns from their mistakes, sees the good, bad, and ugly that happened in the Week 4 game, and maybe could take advantage of certain things this time around. Is this going to be that sort of thing for AG, or is that overrated, and the team the Jets played in Week 4 is totally different from the team they're playing here in Week 14?
Look, I think it's important because the Jets have never beaten the Miami Dolphins with Tua playing quarterback. So you want to basically end that streak. We know that the Dolphins with Tua are terrible when the temperature is sub 45 degrees. It's supposed to be around 42 degrees as of now at kickoff Sunday. So there's some things that you want to see the Jets be able to do. And again, if you want to continue to validate that you're improving, this feels like a game you got to win. You could end the Dolphins season essentially. I know they're technically still alive right now at 5-7. They're in the hunt, if you want to say that. So look, it's a division game. You're going to have to face the Dolphins twice every year. You're going to have to face the Bills and the Patriots, and you haven't been able to beat them yet. So it's another opportunity for Glenn to validate the improvement that this team is making. And I do think it matters, because you look at the division going forward. We think Buffalo with Allen's always going to be a factor. New England's 11-2, and they have the quarterback now in May to go with the head coach. So, like, again, if you can't beat the Miami Dolphins, like, who can you beat? Are you just going to stay in 4th place forever? So this feels like an opportunity for the Jets to take a step forward with this regime by playing a good game and finding a way to win Sunday.
Talking with our Jets insider, Jake Asman, the Jake Asman Show on ESPN New York. It's Inside the Jets here. It's brought to you by our friends at Box Drop Syracuse, the mattress and sofa outlet. Jake, one unit that I would compare, to use a nice holiday reference, to the land of misfit toys might be the Jets special teams, but they have not been misfits at all in recent days. That unit has been shining. What's going on with the special teams here with the JETS Jets?
They've been awesome. And it's amazing that Isaiah Williams has turned out to be as good as he now is, because he was so bad at the beginning of the year. We're all screaming, how is he on the team? What did he get against Miami? Ironically, was just terrible. He had a fumble that night. He fair catched the ball inside the 5-yard line. He was terrible. And, give Glenn and the Jets credit. They stuck with him, and he's validated their belief in him. He's been phenomenal. I think anyone who told you they expected this, they're lying to you. No one could have foreseen this. He's been awesome. Kane Wanu, when they kicked to him, has been great, but now they don't want to kick to him, so they kick to Williams, and he still beats you on long kick returns or punt returns. So, look, the special teams has been great. They're excellent on coverage on kickoffs and punts. Quantez Stiggers has become one of the best gunners in the NFL, if you look at it. McNamara, their punter, has been a Pro Bowl punter. Nick Folk, we just watched him hit a game-winning kick 13 years after he had another game-winning kick to beat the Falcons the last time the Jets beat them. So he's been phenomenal. I mean, Chris Banjo, if you want to highlight a coach who I think has done the best job, their special teams coordinator, Chris Banjo, I think has been the best coach on the staff.
Jake, is it the players or Chris Banjo? Because, to Lurch's point, there is an island of misfit toys reference here. Nick Folk was on his couch. Austin McNamara, Rich Cimini did a great piece about him a couple months ago, saying he had done 22 visits with teams before he stumbled into the Jets one, doing one of those special teams sort of combines where a Jets coach discovered him and then brought him in. He talked about Isaiah Williams' unique path. Kane Guanu's a former All-Pro, I suppose, but again, if you had to give credit to one or the other, is it more coaches or the players that are doing it on the field?
I think it starts with the coaches, right? Because these players have all been around, and they maybe have never been put in the right positions to be successful. And here they are with the Jets, and they're balling. So you give credit to the players for sure, but I think it's a testament to the coaching, because again, we're talking about a bunch of guys that didn't exactly have prestigious reputations that you knew were good already. McNamara is a rookie. Nick Folk, I guess, is the exception, right? We know how good he's been in his career. But the other guys that we mentioned these are guys that were cast-offs on other teams. Here they are helping the Jets win games.
Talking with Jake Asman, our Jets insider. It is Inside the Jets. Our broadcast today brought to you by our friends at Box Drop Syracuse, the mattress and sofa outlet. Let's just take 30 seconds to learn a little bit more about our friends from Box Drop. Considering that we sleep nearly 1/3 of our lives, buying the right mattress is essential. At Box Drop Syracuse Mattress and Sofa Outlet, you'll get a unique experience, one that saves you 30 to 70% off retail prices on top-of-the-line mattresses like Sapphire Sleep. At Box Drop, you'll schedule a mattress fitting appointment and get one-on-one service directly with Paul, the owner. No middleman. Family-owned, huge savings, no-pressure sales designed to save you time and money. And now Box Drop Syracuse has sectional sofas and love seats as well, with prices designed to fit your budget. Box Drop Syracuse Mattress and Sofas. Set up your appointment today at boxdropsyracuse.com. All right, back talking with Jake Asman, all things Jets. It's the Manchild Show with Boyd Green Digital. Pop that subscribe button. Become part of our subscribers. Jake, I know you're a Yankee fan right now. Once we get to 400 subscribers, a Bobby Mercer autographed baseball. This is from my personal collection.
Nice.
Going out the door. All right, to one of our first 400. So if we reach 400 and we're closing in, then we'll give away that Mercer ball. So I know you're a Yankee guy. Would you like a Bobby Mercer ball? Do you have any memorabilia around surrounding the Yankees as a Yankee fan?
I do actually. So one, I would love a Bobby Mercer ball. That's awesome. Two, I do have some Yankee related stuff. I wish I could show you guys, but to my right is a signed photo by Joe Torre, A-Rod, and Derek Jeter from the introductory press conference for A-Rod in 2004. I have a signed Mariano Rivera frame photo above my wall of TVs next to my Patrick Ewing signed photo. So I've become in the last couple of years more of a memorabilia guy. So I have some signed helmets by some Jets. I have a signed football by Joe Namath that's in the back of my apartment over there next to my Super Bowl III display that has a replica Joe Namath ring and some other stuff from that team. So yeah, I love collecting memorabilia, and it's a lot of fun, man. It's really cool.
So what changed, Jake? Real quick, Jake, you said that you just recently have sort of become a memorabilia guy. Why? What happened? I mean, I love it as a memorabilia guy myself. I love collecting, but why suddenly did it strike you?
Well, when I lived in Houston, I never really decorated my apartment a ton because I never looked at Houston as a home, like I was going to be there that long. Now I ended up being there for 6 years. So I just had a white wall for the vast majority of my time in my own apartment. But when I moved back to New York a year and a half ago and got my own place for the first time in New York, I was like, you know what? I'm going to be here. I want to have some stuff to put on the wall. So I have and I didn't even mention the best Yankee memorabilia thing I have. Above my bed, I have a huge, framed, signed Derek Jeter jersey. So I got a ton of stuff. Got some stuff by A-Rod. I have the next big thing for me. I need something Judge related. I don't have anything Aaron Judge related. So that'll be the next big purchase. But basically, one, making more money than I was when I first graduated, making no money. And two, I have my own place. So I basically turned it into a Jake Asman, man cave of his favorite sports teams.
You mentioned you had Ewing. Ewing was always an elusive autograph for me, Jake. He still is elusive for me because I was a season ticket holder for 7 years for the Knicks. I don't know if you know this about me. I'm a diehard Knicks fan. And when I lived down in New York for 7 years, I was a season ticket holder. And I was lucky enough that my wife, inevitably, who at the time was my girlfriend, worked for a music publishing company, and her boss had the front row courtside seats. So every year I'd get to sit in the front row for one game. He would give us his seats, for a game. And I had, back then, we didn't have, these things to take pictures with at high quality. So I had a, really nice camera with a telephoto lens. And I took tons of close-ups of Ewing, in the paint with Rick Smiths on his back, Reggie Miller trying to poke the ball away from him. A lot of those traditional Dale Davis, some of those matchups of the Pacers and the Knicks and the Bulls and the Knicks from back in those days. I have these wonderful photos that I personally took, all right, from courtside with nothing obstructing my view. And I always wanted to get some of them autographed by Ewing, and I never could get that guy. I waited outside of the Garden. He was always elusive. He would sign a couple and then walk up. He'd be like, come on, Patrick. I didn't have the cute kid with me, I guess, or something. I was just some geek. You probably thought I was going to sell it on the internet. But the fact of the matter is, I just wanted it for my personal collection and never got it. So I'm a little jealous that you got a Patrick Ewing autograph. All right, back to the Jets.
It. Yeah,
back to the Jets here.
I hope you get one, Jim. I do.
There you go. Yeah.
Maybe I could probably chase down old man Ewing now. That'd probably be a lot easier. I don't think he's going to. He can't run as fast. First of all, he doesn't have like 15 bodyguards like he did back then. So anyway, one of the measuring sticks for is a coach doing a good job is player development. And I want to talk to you specifically about A.D. Mitchell, who is starting to show something now as a Jet. He was a guy that was included in that trade, and I think that we're starting to see some residuals here, and the Jets may have a player who is certainly could be a part of this lineup for a long time to come. What are you seeing in his development, and is Aaron Glenn responsible for it?
I think he gets a lot of credit for it, right? I mean, you talk about, the background that Glenn comes in, you're looking for things that you could point to that you can give him credit for. And I think that's certainly one of them. And again, one of the things that I think that should encourage Jet fans during, this streak where they played a lot better, you're winning games because of young players. And that's another example, right? Like if you're going to win games, you want it to be because Azaria Thomas is playing well. Stevens is playing well after you got off to a bad start. You go down the line, you want it to be Malachi Moore led them in tackles. Offensively, we talked about Mechie and we talked about Mitchell already. The O-line playing well, right? You have the bookend tackles. Tippins had a really good season. So I think, again, one of the things you want to see, if you're going to win games, it's not because Alan Lazard's having 100 yards receiving, who's not going to be here next year, or, Michael Clemens makes a bunch of great plays when the games don't matter. You want it to be because young players are getting better. And I feel like for the most part, we've seen them win games because of that. I know Tyrod's 36, so that's the difference. But still, I think, by the way, going to Tyrod has been validated because you're getting a better evaluation of the talent you already do have on this team. So I think it's a really good point by you, Jim. And we are seeing guys like that improve, which is a real positive, and the head coach should get credit for that.
Jake, I don't want to jinx this, but, I heard this stat and then the Jets provided another stat about it. Makes me feel so good about it. The Jets are the only team in the NFL that have started the same 5 offensive linemen all season long. And that's a cool note to have for this season. But it's the first time the Jets have been able to accomplish that streak, and that's through the first 14 weeks of a season. We're heading into week 14 right now. This is the first time the Jets have done that since 2012. That's a long time ago. Now, obviously, there's a devastating injury right before the season. As Elijah Tucker, they were able to pivot. What do you make of that statistic? And should that be a massive reason for enthusiasm and optimism for the Jets? I know they're going to have some big boy offensive line decisions to make. AVT's a free agent. John Simpson's a free agent. Josh Myers a free agent. Tippmann, does he go back to center? Does he play guard? What does he do? But damn, this feels like a good first world problem for the Jets to have.
Yeah, look, again, knock on wood, it remains the case. I value continuity, Paul. So for me, if the Jets wanted to bring back Josh Myers and John Simpson, I'm good with it. I'm also open to bringing AVT back, given the amount of cap space they have. If he would accept a 1-year prove-it deal for, let's say it's a $5 million contract with a chance to earn more based on playing time, I'd be all for it. I don't know what their plan is going to be. You have 3 entrenched starters, and they have options, which is, I think, really encouraging with the picks they have. If they used one of their seconds on a guard/center that maybe wouldn't have to start right away, would compete with Josh Myers for the starting center job, like that to me would make some sense. You could bring Simpson back if you want to go down that path as well. They have options, which is exciting. And I think the biggest thing that should encourage Jet fans with the offensive line, you look at the first-round capital they now have over the next 2 years, right? 5 number ones over the next 2. You don't have to use any of them on an offensive tackle. Most of the time, if you're bad, you need offensive tackles because you can't protect the quarterback. It's kind of unique. The Jets, they're bad for different reasons, and it's not for once because of the offensive line. So that's actually, to me, encouraging. So I'd leave Tippmann at guard. I'd bring back Myers. I'd be open to bringing Simpson back. But I think with one of those twos, if they took a long-term answer at center or guard, that would make a lot of sense. I'd leave Tippmann at guard, though. I think you don't want to mess with him and Membu on the right side.
The Jets' opponent this week, the Miami Dolphins, have been going through a bit of a metamorphosis. They've won 4 out of the last 5 games. They look like a hot mess 5-6 weeks ago. Coach, as hot a seat as could possibly be. They decide to part company with their GM, and now it just seems like things are kind of going right for Miami. So let's talk about this matchup. No more Tyreek Hill, but Jalen Waddle looks like a number 1 receiver. Devin Achane has been able to not only stay healthy, but he's been one of the best backs in football this year. So what are the Jets up against this week against Miami?
Yeah, you brought it up. He's been really, really good for them, and that's going to be a real challenge for the Jets, certainly in this game. I think when you look at, the matchup, right, I think if there was ever a game for the Jets to force an interception, it's got to be this one. I mean, again, Tua's got 14 picks this season. That's tied with Geno for the most in the NFL, tied for the most in his career. Like now or never. I mean, please, that to me is where it starts. Can you get that pick? Give your offense a short field. Look, the offense got a short field via the special teams making a play on the muff punt by Atlanta. That was the difference in the game. Brees Hall scoring on the first play from 2 yards out. So that could be a huge difference maker here. We know Chan has a chance to really hurt them. They had no answer for Bijan Robinson this past week. He's had 400-yard rushing games this year. So he's going to be tough. But again, I think if you're the Jets, you're at home. The record for Tua in the cold speaks for itself. They've lost 7 in a row when the temperatures are sub 45 degrees. Now is the time for the Jets to get that division win and finally beat Tua and the Dolphins.
Jake, we just were talking about it with Devon Achane, the talented running back from Miami. The Jets had been pretty good against the run since all the trade stuff and things have sort of stabilized. But Bijan Robinson, good Lord, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. I mean, that was giving us all kinds of trouble on Sunday. AG just answered this in his press conference earlier today. He doesn't think that that's a sign that all of a sudden we suck now as a run defense, but he hates that they gave up all those yards to Bijan. I'll flip the same question to you that AG was asked. Is that a concerning sign that all of a sudden the run defense could be in shambles? There's like a blueprint or something? Or is just Bijan Robinson a really good running back and the Jets can bat down the hatches once again, playing a talented back in Devon Achane?
I think it's both. I mean, the run defense has been better, but they also played a compromised Lamar Jackson, and Derrick Henry has not been – as dynamic as we're used to. Maybe some age there is starting to set in. They've been better. There's no doubt, but I feel like, they still need to improve there. Clearly there was, what really bothered me about the Falcon game? You're watching the game. They don't have Drake London. Okay. So they're going to go to Bijan Robinson. And if that's not there, they're going to go to Kyle Pitts. And who were the two guys that killed the Jets? It was Bijan and Kyle Pitts. So while the defense has been better, I still don't think this is a great defensive unit. I still don't think they're the best coached unit that we've seen. I think Steve Wilkes is still firmly on the hot seat over these last 5 games, and a big performance Sunday would really help them because, again, the fact that they only have 2 total turnovers this year and only one of them was by the defense, it's just not good enough. When you look at every other team in the league, the next closest has 7. So ultimately, if not now, then when? Force a fumble, interception, that could be the difference in the Jets winning this game or not.
Jake, you a Mike McDaniel guy or not?
I mean, I like him as an offensive coach. I don't know if he's a great head coach. I have some questions there. He's also kind of hamstrung by how limited his quarterback is. I don't think he could do the same things he used to do with Tua because he's afraid of getting hit. So you don't see any design rollouts anymore. They're very conservative with some of the calls now for Tua. Look, if he got fired and he was my team's OC, I think he'd do a really good job. I question just how good of a head coach he actually is, though.
Right, you just said that, if the Jets are ever finally going to end that interception try to be against the Dolphins, who have Mr. Tua turned the ball over, who's leading the league right now in picks with Geno Smith. So, Jake, let me just ask you straight up. Does it finally happen? Does the ball just bounce in the right random direction? And if so, who is the guy that catches it on the Jets defense?
All right, I'm going to be positive. It finally happens. They intercept a Tua pass, and it will be Azarie Thomas who comes up with the interception. Why not?
Okay, there you go. The Rookster. I like it. Beautiful.
Almost as good as Clubber Lang with pain.
Yeah. Prediction. Yeah, there you go. That could
Prediction.
Be good.
Pain.
Oh,
Fantastic. All right, Jake. Well, look, it's always great catching up with you. It's nice to see the Jets a little bit on the winning path here in recent days. We'll see if we can keep this thing going. Like to see you guys get your division win here. That'd be also nice to split the season series with the Miami Dolphins. Anything you'd like to plug on the way out, Jake?
I would like to say God bless all of you and go Jets.
There you go. Look at that. And then I'll do that for Jake too. New York game day, baby. Sundays, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. It's Jake Asman. It's Mike Tannenbaum. There's some yelling. There's some loving. There's a little back and forth. It depends. I've heard a lot of episodes of this beautiful show, and sometimes I hear Jake and Mike at each other's necks. I'm wearing the Bart Simpson shirt from Homage. Shout out to Homage. It's
any makeup on that, Jake? Any photoshopping going on there?
Yeah. What's going on there?
That's just you and the Raw there. Is that good?
You know what? I don't even know, to be honest with you.
You don't
Jim.
remember?
The nice people at ESPN New York, I sent them the headshot, and
Oh,
who knows
okay.
what they did with it.
They just
Plead
took
the
it and did it.
fifth.
Wow.
There
Little
you go.
AI going on there. Huh?
Oh,
It could be.
that's right. That's definitely
Anything to
possible.
make me look less ugly. I'm all for it.
Fantastic.
Happy
Love
holidays,
that.
buddy, and thank
Happy
you so
holidays,
much Jake, for
Jake.
joining us,
Yep.
man.
You got it, guys. Talk to you soon, and always appreciate you guys having me on.